Riley.
What up, man?
Yeah, so if you're ready, we could just get just going with it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I just read that. What's up?
Where are you at?
I'm in New Jersey.
New Jersey, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So for you, I wanted to ask you, obviously making your debut this year, what was that like for you in terms of being with the organization this year? Obviously, it's been a hectic year, but for you, it's going to be a memorable year just with the debut. Can you just take me through that and, just let everybody know out there kind of how it went for you and how you felt and just, everything that was going through your mind?
Yeah, for sure. So, you have this dream your whole life of how it's gonna be, and a normal year it would probably be like that. But in a COVID year, you're not around your family at all. You're not allowed to come, and you're not at the AAA site or AA site or wherever you would get called up from. You're 10 minutes down the road. So for me, I was at our alternate site, and I had just gotten back from taxi squad the day before, so I had been with the team in San Francisco and where else did we go? Oakland. So we were kind of in the same area. And got back to the field, and I was going to throw 3 innings on Tuesday at the alternate site. And that Monday, I kind of wanted to get off the mound just a little bit to kind of just get my bearings after a plane flight and everything like that. And I'm about to go and throw, and our farm director, Josh Barfield, came out there and was like, "Hey, man, you don't need to do that. You're a big leaguer." And I was like, "Man, don't play with me. You're lying." He's like, "I don't play about that." He said, "But the thing is you got to be ready for the game tonight." And it was 6:10, and the game was starting at 6:40. And he was like, "You need to go over to Chase and be ready to throw early," because Merrill Kelly had went down. He had blood clot in his arm, and so we were short a starter. And it ended up that Taylor Clark threw really well, and I didn't get in that game. So wait around a couple days, and I get to go in the 8th inning of a ball game against Denver. And I had a couple buddies that played on Denver on the Rockies as well. And I just remember, man, it was everything that I thought it was going to be, and I couldn't even tell that there weren't fans there. I mean, it just kind of took off, and it was exciting and overwhelming, and it was everything that I ever dreamed that it would be, even without my family there. I think that next year, whenever they're allowed to come to games, that will be a really special moment. But as far as making my debut, man, it was awesome.
For you too, obviously coming into spring training, everything that happened this year, were you expecting? Obviously, you never know if you're going to get the call or not. But was it something that you thought was a real possibility this year coming into spring training? I know that's obviously a few months ago now at this point, but when did it kind of almost seem like there was a good chance that, you would make it?
Yeah, when I got put on the roster last year in November, and so I knew from then that the team valued me and that they thought that I could bring something to the table that would help the big league club. And so I didn't expect, but I hoped that this year would be the year, and that if I threw well, then it probably would be. And then when all this hit, it changed everything as far as we only have 60 games, and it's few and far between that guys get called up that early unless there's injuries in a regular season. So I didn't really know what to expect, and after the COVID stuff, but before I was definitely hoping and obviously praying that it would happen, and turned out it did.
For you too, obviously, being in the organization, what's something, we've had some other guys come on. I'm not sure if you're too close yet or talk to Kevin Ginkle. He's also in the bullpen.
Oh, yeah. We actually came up together. We got drafted the same year and have kind of progressed through the minor leagues together.
All right, cool. Yeah, we had him on probably a few months ago now, but, just his perspective on the organization. I wanted to ask you kind of, what has the organization out in Arizona meant to you? I mean, obviously every clubhouse is different and whatnot, but I mean, does it resonate with you? Obviously, you guys are trying to rebuild and, looking forward. but what's something, right now that really, sticks out to you within it?
Yeah, everybody says rebuild, but our organization likes to win from the bottom to the top. We like to win every league. Our farm director, when I got drafted, was Mike Bell, and he kind of instilled that in the organization that, yeah, you're playing to get to the big leagues, but the big leagues want to win. So if you're not winning at the lower levels, then what are you doing to help improve your career besides just personal, vendettas? But this organization is really special to me because of the way that the coaching staff and the directors and all the coordinators, I mean, everybody is so friendly and personable. The hardest part of being a farm director or a coordinator is having to release people. And so a lot of organizations have talked about how guys don't get close to their players because they don't want to have to hurt the feelings. But our organization is very respectful in the fact that, they let us know that it is a job, and if you don't perform, you won't last. But they also create a relationship with you so that it's easier to figure out what kind of person you are and how you need to be developed and coached. And it was very special to me to debut with them because there's at our spring training complex, there's a wall that says homegrown talent, and that's guys who got drafted and made it to the big leagues with the team. And I've always kind of wanted to be on that wall. It just, first pro team I ever played with, I wanted to debut with, and was fortunate enough to do so.
And for you, coming into the year, obviously, with everything, being a reliever at first, at college and then the minors, transitioning into more of a starter role the past few years, what's kind of been your, message, or what's the coaching staff saying in terms of what your role going to be now at the big league club? I know obviously you came in relief, in your first outing with the team, but looking forward, I mean, I know you mentioned, Merrill going down with the injury. Is this something where you could possibly potentially be a spot starter, but mainly in the bullpen? I mean, what's it like in terms of that? And how do you kind of put that mentally in your head, knowing that you could be a spot starter one day if needed in like a doubleheader, or, going into the bullpen? Is that something what you're comfortable with?
So my first couple of years of college, I started, and then at LSU, I started all fall and was going to start in the spring and got hurt. And so that's when I transitioned to the bullpen for that rest of that year, my first year of pro ball. And I've been a starter since 2017, and I think that's where my value is overall because of the amount of innings I can throw and have stayed healthy for, knock on wood. But I think that I can go deep into games and have proven that. And so I think that, at the big league level, you do whatever you got to do. If they need a bullpen guy, you're a bullpen guy. If they need a spot start, you're a spot start. And I think that from what I have been relayed, the messages, my value to the D-backs is as a starter, whether that's now or 5 years. Who knows? You just go day to day, and if they need me to spot start, I'd love to do it. And if they don't, then that's fine as well. Up here it's all about winning. So whatever they need you to do, you just do it. There's no development once you're here. I'm sure you develop, but there's no like, hey, you need to get 5 innings in today, so we're going to start you. Like, no, we need to beat the crap out of the Rockies or the Dodgers today. So this guy's going to start, this guy's going to relieve. It's just kind of the way it is.
For you two coming up this year, I always wondered what it was like just in terms of, being a rookie in the clubhouse, not wanting to step on anybody's toes, but also trying to do your job at the same time. How, kind of was the perception of you? I know you mentioned coming up with Kevin, but what kind of was the perception overall with, some of the guys, just in terms of, the older guys not wanting to, step on their toes and whatnot, but also trying to get some advice from them and, just learn from them?
Yeah. There's different feelings in different clubhouses. This one is a very relaxed feeling. I mean, there's obviously where you run into issues is if you don't think about the fact that you're not a veteran and that if Cattell comes down and he needs a hot tub, you just get out. You don't ask him. You just get out. I mean that's kind of the respect of like, you haven't earned the time frame of being able to do whatever you want whenever you want. And this clubhouse is very friendly. I mean there's no salty veterans. There's nobody that's pissed off that you're there. I mean if you stay out of people's way and you stay out of the training room, that's kind of the key for any big clubhouse. I mean, you just, speak when you're spoken to and make sure there's no snacks in the bullpen.
For you two, have they done anything in terms of, rookie stuff to you yet? I know you've only been up for, a few weeks, but has there been, any rookie, teasing or, carrying the bags thus far?
Yeah, you know what? I haven't done anything carrying the bags. I'm surprised that is not happened. But the COVID thing's got everything messed up to where you kind of aren't allowed to touch other people's stuff, and they're not allowed to touch you, and you got to be so far apart. And so, I mean, that I'm expecting it more of next year, and so we'll just see what happens then.
No, like you mentioned, no fans in your debut. It didn't feel like that for you. Obviously, not playing, LSU, obviously, a ton of fans go out to those games. But in the minors, not having a lot of fans. Going into, Arizona, going into, pro ball, obviously, there's not a lot of fans in the minors. So for you, how much do you think that helped you with there being no fans? Do you think it had any effect on, your nerves being calmed down just in terms of not being around a lot of people? What was that like for you in terms of, can you even tell about the fans?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell just because the stadium feels a little bit emptier, but they do a good job at mixing in crowd noise and playing music, and it doesn't seem all that different. I wouldn't say that it helped or didn't help, which, I could not know unless I had fans there and sucked, but it's different because there's a constant hum versus like every now and then there's a hum in the stadium now. When there's fans in there, you can hear them constantly, whether it's just a slight bit of talking, it doesn't have to be loud or anything, but they're doing a good job at mixing in crowd noise and playing music. And I couldn't tell a major difference, but I was also really focused on trying to get the guys out. I was facing Trevor Story, Arenado, and Blackman, so there was really no time to think about anything else.
For you two, this season, just in terms of, being more of a reliever now, especially in the, at the major league level, not having that, 4 days in between to, rest and then get ramped up again. What's it like for you going to the ballpark knowing that any day you can pitch? You can't really have, certain days where you can go to the ballpark, relax knowing that you're not going to throw that day. So what's it like in terms of a routine and not having those, 4 buffer days to, get restarted and rejuvenated?
Yeah, you just you take every day like it's a start day, and there's nothing strenuous about a start day until you actually start and throw. So, the thing is excuse me, even in a start day, those 4 days in between are not buffers, relax days. You're getting bullpens in, you're working out, you're getting your body ready to start. And I am settled into like the long relief spot. So like at some point I may throw an inning or two just because it's been so long since I've been off the mound. But I'm basically our starter is having a rough day. I'm going to come in, guy, and throw 3 or 4 innings to kind of spread the gap between the bullpen. And so it's not much different. There are definitely some benefits to knowing that you're not going to throw that day and kind of just getting to take your mind off of things and relax and goof around. But it's you're in the big leagues, so you get to take in Dodger Stadium, you get to take in Giant Stadium, you get to take in Chase Field. You don't think too much about, man, I kind of wish I could just zone out. You just do your thing and do it for another month, hopefully 2 months, and go home, and then you can relax.
For you, just in terms of that, ramping up and everything, like you mentioned, not having those days in between. What's it like just in terms of just kind of the routine from now until you go to the ballpark? Just talking to some other teams, some other guys, having strict regimens. Some guys, seems like some organizations are more relaxed just in terms of, just when you get to the ballpark, you get there during COVID. So what's it like in terms of that? I mean, can you just give me a little kind of, scope from here into the game, what kind of your day will be like?
Yeah, so right when I got into pro ball, my pitching coach told me, he's like, always take the first bus. Don't ever be the last one to the ballpark. So, COVID or not, I'm always on the first bus, and that's usually, 6:40 game. We'll have a 1 o'clock bus, and in LA, it's 30-minute drive over there. And we eat lunch at 11:30, and I usually go for like a morning walk or something to grab some coffee or just kind of get outside. And then eat lunch, go to the field, and get ready to throw and shag BP.
Final serious question for you. I wanted to ask you, going into a game, you mentioned, Story, Arenado, Blackman, those three guys. But, anybody you're going to face, are you somebody who is big into a scouting report? Are you someone who just goes with what you're feeling? Are you somebody who looks at the hot and cold zones of a player? What's been working for you recently? I mean, how much are you into the analytics, and how much are you kind of just going with the flow and how your body feels?
Yeah, I mean, you have to go with the flow, and you have to go with how your body feels, and you have to overall throw whatever pitch you're comfortable with, whether the scouting report says to or not. But you do like to have a plan, because these are the best hitters in the world, and you don't want to go in thinking you're just going to overpower or you're going to spin everybody to death, because they'll turn around 100 miles an hour. That they'll spit on your best curveball. So you have to kind of have a game plan of what they're doing and how they're doing, but also know your strengths and what you do well, and don't shy away from those, just because Charlie Blackmon's hitting 400. You still play your strengths and just play them to their weaknesses.
Okay, a couple wrap-up questions I just wanted to ask you briefly, if that's all right with you. Kind of quick stuff. I know obviously you haven't been to all the ballparks yet. You've only pitched in one, but what's kind of the coolest one you've been to thus far?
If you're standing in center field looking at home plate, Dodger Stadium's the coolest so far. It just seems big. It's been on top of you. Other than Chase. Chase is probably one of my favorite parks. I love Chase, but if you're standing on the mound looking to center field, San Diego is sick. That backdrop of, is awesome, and the bricks down the left field line, that little building and stuff, it's all pretty cool. But those are probably my two favorite.
Is there something that you do before every game, pregame, whether it's, eat the same meal, drink the same shake? What's kind of something that you do if you have a ritual?
As a starter, I definitely do. I mean, I eat the same meal before the games and all that kind of stuff. As a reliever, that would get pretty stressful to do, so I kind of just go with the flow and do whatever I can do to get a meal in, whatever it is. Or I still do my same ritual of putting my clothes on in a certain way, but that's something pretty easy to do. But I'm pretty set in my ways of doing certain things, but nothing really sticks as deep as when I'm starting.
Now, it hasn't been a normal season, but what's the best thing about going from the minors to the majors? What's kind of the best thing that's, kind of the best attribute or facet outside of, getting the pitch on the biggest stage? Whether it's, the hotels, the food. I mean, what's kind of something that sticks out to you? The equipment, the trainers?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like throughout the minor leagues, everything's catered to the big leagues. In the big leagues, you get your own hotel room, and there's really no no's. You don't really you can have 2 towels when you shower if you want to. You can have as much snacks or food as you want. There's really no set thing. Where in the minor leagues, they're trying to save money so they can give the big leaguers whatever they want. And so that's kind of the thing for me, is that you can kind of have whatever you want. I mean, without being stupid about it, but you get your own hotel room, and you're treated more like a 25, 28, 30-year-old person than you are in the minor leagues whenever you're like, hey, you don't need 2 sandwiches, or, it's kind of more tailored to just making sure you get whatever you want.
Did you realize in the moment with your first strikeout of Trevor Story, did you really, get to take that in, or were you kind of just locked in at that point and didn't really, get to enjoy it?
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was my first big league strikeout. I completely forgot, and I saw Vogt take the ball and throw it out, and I was like, well, shoot, man, I like that ball. I don't know why he's throwing it out. And then I remembered later on, like, oh, okay, I'm glad he threw it out.
For you, second to last question, I wanted to ask you who thus far has been one or two guys that you really, just kind of leaned on in the big leagues thus far, whether it's advice, being around them, hanging out with them, or is there one or two guys that sticks out to you thus far?
Yeah, Stephon Crichton is a reliever, and I played with him last year a little bit in AAA, and obviously this year in the big leagues. And I've been on taxi squad the first 2 trips, or the last 2 trips, and he's just a guy that is from Texas, can relate to, and just kind of pick his brain about certain things, and his mindset and all that kind of stuff. And then, our catcher Stephen Vogt, he's a guy that we've talked multiple times about pitching and stuff, and just kind of what plays and being confident and that kind of stuff. And so those 2 guys I've leaned on pretty good, and they've been nothing but pro about it and giving me great advice.
Final question for you. Outside of the game of baseball, what's 1 or 2 things you want people to know about you, whether it's, hobby, something you like to do outside of the game? I mean, what's something that people don't know but should know about you?
Well, family's first for me. I hang out with my family constantly in the off season. I thoroughly enjoy going back home and being there for the whole off season. And my little brother plays college baseball, and being there, you get to watch some of those games and be around him. And we hunt and fish constantly. That's probably the second thing, is I'm constantly hunting and fishing, and that's something we thoroughly enjoy and makes for a great off season.
Awesome. So just thanks, Riley, obviously, for coming on, giving us a little of your time. Best of luck tonight, if you get in the game and pitch. Otherwise, just looking forward to seeing what you do in the future. And, best of luck.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks, Sid. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Have a good one.
All right, you too.